The Logitech G Pro X2 is one of the best gaming headsets on the market. It's a massive improvement over the Pro X1, a device I was very critical of in my review of it. The graphene drivers that they keep advertising are legit. The Pro X2 was a wireless headset that can be used either Bluetooth or Lightspeed, which is just connecting to the USB dongle, and it can do wired, but not simultaneously. So Bluetooth, or you can toggle with this button down here, to Lightspeed, or you can use wired with the 3.5mm cable. One trick this thing can do for simultaneous audio is plug a 3.5mm cable from an audio source into the dongle, so that way the Lightspeed wireless will play audio from both whatever it's plugged into, like your PC, and it will also play it from that audio source at the same time. But that's a really niche use case, I gotta say. Anyway, this works on PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, but the surround sound effects and basically anything that's software related doesn't save to the device itself, so it's not gonna translate over to Bluetooth or to any of those other systems. It'll only work on PC because that's where G-Hub is. All right, as for the controls and ports, starting off with the left ear cup, there's a power switch, which is amazing until you realize there's also auto shut off. So like it's asleep right now. In order to turn it back on, I have to turn this off and then back on. So yeah, that doesn't play too well with auto shut off. This is the volume gain wheel, which is really a system volume because it's infinite scroll. For the first few days, this didn't work at all for my PC. It would bring up the little volume meter, but it wouldn't actually change at all. Finally started working after a few days after, don't know why. Mic mute button right here, and when the orange is visible, that means it's muted. Inside, then it's not muted. USB-C charging port here, and this button will switch between Bluetooth and wireless, and you'll hear like a little sound effect inside chime. It doesn't tell you which one it's on, you just have to kind of know. And now right ear cup, all there is this. This port is for the 3.5mm connection. Now for a gaming headset indoors, that's really all you need, but there are two key things missing for using this thing outdoors. I took it to work and I work outside. So the first thing that I was missing was a universal control for a Bluetooth button, like to answer calls and play and pause tracks, skip tracks, stuff like that. I just couldn't do that without actually pulling my phone out. So that was a big miss. Also, the mic is detachable, which is excellent as far as the looks goes, but there's no integrated mics in this device. There's also no ANC. I'm not really big on ANC, but since there's no integrated mic, I can't answer calls with this thing because if it answers the call and then goes to Bluetooth, then there's just no mic unless you want to walk around with this thing all the time, which I guess that's cool if you do. So it's not really that viable as like a portable and like easy to travel with set of headphones, but it does have all you need for a gaming headset if you're going to be stationary. Now, the main selling point of this headset over the Pro X1 is the new drivers that they're using inside. While there were a lot of fans of the Pro X1's audio, and the person that I gave my Pro X1 to likes the sound of it, for me, it was hollow and distant, so I would just prefer a HyperX device. But the detail on the Pro X1 is pretty good. The Pro X2 is more my taste. This uses 50mm neodymium graphene drivers, and honestly, I'm still learning about the actual technical aspects of graphene drivers and how they affect audio reproduction. So I can't really give you the nerdy details on that, but I can tell you what this sounds like during gaming and listening to music. In short, there's a lot that I like about it. First, the overall balanced tone is good out the box, but excellent with EQ. Everyone has a different preference for the equalization curve that they want, so that's why it's great that the Pro X2 is so receptive to custom tuning without distortion. I love playing Need for Speed and Resident Evil with this, since the highs aren't too harsh, but still detailed, so racing wasn't a jarring experience with screeching around turns, but at the same time, a loud noise like a shotgun or like some glass shattering didn't blow out my eardrums when I was playing Resident Evil. And when I cranked up the bass, which you guys, if you watch the channel, you know I'm a bass head, there wasn't any distortion, so I love that. The soft and warm sub bass was very pleasant to listen to for long periods of time. For immersive games and music, I enjoyed it. Also, even just listening to YouTube videos or editing videos, it's really nice and smooth sound. Now, the detail's also there for competitive games. The sound separation is great, and there are only two devices that I've used that I'd say beat it out in detail. The first is this, the Audeze Maxwell. It's the most detailed headset that I've ever used, even better than the Audeze Penrose, but it's not like a wide margin. This is like pretty close. And the next one is the Epos H6 Pro. This does beat it out a little bit when it comes to detail, but this is a very limited use case device, in my opinion, just because the bass is just so weak in comparison to these. It's a very thin sounding device. There's a lot to like about this for FPS games, but for pretty much anything else, not for me. I'll make an entire video on this specifically though. Now, there are some very small vents up top, but overall, this is a closed back device, so naturally it has a pretty narrow soundstage. It didn't affect my performance negatively, but I know a lot of players really want the widest soundstage that they can get, and if that's you, then probably just go get an open back device because there are several of them to choose from. Now, the surround sound is the complete opposite of what I'm used to. Instead of thinning out the lows and adding reverb to it, it makes everything sound super close and rumbly, kind of like there's an earthquake going on, with just this constant strangely unnatural bass that doesn't like hit like super hard. It's just like ever present. It's obviously not going to help you perform better. Really, no virtual surround is going to do that. But it is fun sometimes for a few minutes. Then I just turn it off. Overall, I rank the Logitech G Pro X2 as number 3 in terms of my favorite headsets when it comes to the headphone audio quality. Number 1 is the Audeze Maxwell. I think this pretty much beats it in every category, like even the like nice and smooth bass that you can get down there. I like it out the box much better than the Maxwell. I think the Maxwell, like I need to EQ the crap out of this thing to get this thing to be usable. But with EQ, this thing has stronger bass, fuller bass, and just a little bit more detail in the mid-range. Sounds slightly more open, but that's really not like a reason to get this over the other. Just get an open back if you want something that actually sounds really wide when it comes to the soundstage. But yeah, this is still my number 1. Number 2 is this, the Dropless Epos PC38X. Open back device, a lot wider soundstage than any of the other headsets that I have. And the main reason I actually like this thing is for the bass. The bass isn't like ridiculous, but it's the strongest bass that I've heard on any gaming headset. Not the most detailed bass. And when it comes to sound separation, and if you're gonna be playing FPS games, I think that the Pro X2 is gonna be a better choice. But for single player games, for music, for basically anything that's not like Call of Duty or Halo or something, I absolutely love using the PC38X. This thing has better quality than any Razer headset that I've used. And I like it better than this, the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro. The sound separation is good on both of these, but the highs, they're too shrill in the Stealth Pro. And even with a ton of EQ, you can't really get rid of that. And the bass doesn't quite have that same fullness that you can get on the Pro X2. So again, the Pro X2 has the best audio quality that I've heard at its price point. This thing launched for $250. That's what I bought it for. But I would still opt for the Maxwell over this for pretty much any use case when it comes to sound. And I also personally prefer the PC38X for basically everything that's not FPS games than this device. Wider soundstage and a whole lot more bass. The Pro X2 has a very average sounding microphone. I've heard a lot better, like the HyperX Cloud 3. I'll go ahead and include an audio sample of that, but I'll do a little bit of keyboard typing so that you can hear the background noise rejection. I think it does a great job of this naturally. The problem is the filter that they're using, or whatever they have in here that is reducing the background noise, also makes my voice not like really smooth. It kind of cuts it out just a little bit to get rid of the background sounds. But I also have an AC going at the same time, so if you have other people talking or you have other noises that you don't want the other person to hear, then this is excellent for that, which is what I know a lot of players want. But the mic still overall is just whatever. I think what Logitech really wants you to do though is use the Logitech G Hub software, and in here you get Blue Voice. I have this enabled, but no filters are ticked right now, no equalizer, and none of the signal cleanup. You have a lot of options here. I don't want to go super in depth in this video because it's really a headset review and the review of the mic itself. Because if you're going to be on like PS4 or another console, you don't get access to this anyway. But really quick, let me just show you what happens if you put these all on default. So this is the classic radio preset. This was just the first thing that it was on when I plugged this in. And the equalizer gives you a slight boost to the low end and the mid-range. Highs are about the same. Signal cleanup and just reduce a little bit of the background noise. This is Broadcaster 1, and this actually gives you a little bit of peaking. This is what I don't like about a lot of these presets. If you're not like aware, you wouldn't realize that, oh, this is like actually way too much input. So let me go ahead and drag this down. So that it's not peaking quite as hard. Got a de-esser, which should get rid of sibilance a little bit. This is for plosives. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Limiter is, I don't want to go over every single thing that this does. I can do that in a different video. But yeah, this is doing some pretty extreme EQ. And honestly, what most of these filters over here are really demonstrating is how incredibly average this microphone is. If you need to do this much extreme like EQ work to the mic to make it sound just listenable, I think you're using the wrong mic. But while we have this here, let's go ahead and do a keyboard typing test. So this is with the noise reduction filter on. It does help, but I don't think that you even needed it in the first place. So that's why I really just don't use much of these. So yeah, it's an okay, super average mic. The software is amazing, but it'd be better to use this software with a better microphone. This is a microphone demonstration with the HyperX Cloud 3, the best gaming headset mic that I've heard. And I'll go ahead and do a keyboard typing demonstration with this device really quick. And this is what it sounds like with the background noise rejection. Not super extreme, but also doesn't really mess up the audio too much. Big fan of this microphone. It's not like obviously going to be as good as like a Shure SM7B or MV7 or something like that, but for a gaming headset, it's on the right track. Just like the Pro X1, this headset is very comfortable and well built, and this one actually has swivel, unlike the Pro X1. Problem with the swivel here is that when you put it around your neck, it doesn't really get long enough to avoid pinching you, which is something that I've complained about many headsets doing. It's just not viable for me, but I know some people really love swivel, and just for the adjustment around your ears, it's really good for that. The build is super solid. They've got these metal frames. It's like the adjustment forks that are on the HyperX Cloud 3. Actually, the frame is even thicker than the Cloud 3, so this might even be more durable. This is slightly heavier than the Cloud 3. This gets up to 345 grams, and the Cloud 3 is 317 with the mic and 303 grams without the mic. Something I like about the Cloud 3 is that the ear cushions have a little bit more padding inside. Also, just the material of the faux leather is softer, a little bit more padding up top, not a ton more, but it's lacking up here. I felt this when I was wearing this for about 4 hours when I was working outside. It just kind of started to have a little pressure on top of my head. But overall, these are pretty comfortable, just not quite as plush as the Cloud 3. They also come with these velour ear pads, which are very comfortable. I actually find them to be even more snug than these, more comfortable, but they do trap in too much heat. So if it's even a little bit warm, then these are definitely gonna heat up your ears after just like 30 minutes to an hour. It's gonna get pretty hot. So definitely an A in build quality and comfort for the Logitech G Pro X2, but not quite as good as the S tier HyperX Cloud 3. Now, a quick word on the Logitech G Hub software that comes with the Pro X2, not the mic like Blue Voice or like any of these effects or anything, but this, the headphones section that you can change right here. This comes with a 5-band EQ, and you can't actually change the values of any of the frequencies that you can alter. Well, you can like change the number, like you can change this to like 1, and then, you know, it will crank it up by 1. You can change any of these, like how much it is, but you can't add more. You can't make it 10-band, and you can't like change a specific frequency. Like, oh, you want like to change like the 400 hertz or 16,000, something that's like, you know, really high end. You don't like the screeching treble up there. Yeah, can't really do anything about that at all. The entire treble range, you just don't have any precision control over like any of it up there. There are some defaults that you have over here, and you know, they're pretty basic. I tested a few and made like a crazy heavy bass one just to see how much this headset can be affected by EQ and not distort, and it does a really great job of being able to do that. So again, these are all personal preference. It's not like a best EQ. This is just what you like. I really wish that you could do more in this software. You can change a few basic things like the side tone, of course, and the mic volume, system volume, the surround sound that I demonstrated before. It's something that I keep off, and you can change these, but like, again, like there's 2 drivers in here. This is like going to mislead you into thinking, oh, you can hear stuff that's like specifically like right in front and to the right of you more than you can hear things that are on the back to the left of you. And it's like that, this doesn't know front from back. It doesn't actually know. It's simulating the effect of it, but it doesn't know front from back. And even if it did, it couldn't really reproduce that accurately because there's only 2 drivers anyway. There's a driver here and there's a driver here. So mess with this as much as you want, but I keep this thing off. So the big question, should you buy the Logitech G Pro X2? For me, it's hard to recommend. See, it's good at a lot of things. Comfort, the headphone audio quality, the build quality. It's got Bluetooth, but not simultaneous with the wireless. It's got wired as well if you need that. Good at a lot of things, but not the best at anything. If you're mainly going to be stationary at a PC, this is the best gaming headset that I found for its price range of $250. But if you go a little bit higher, the Maxwell, while it definitely has some comfort and some build issues, I think the Maxwell just beats this thing out when it comes to sound quality. For comfort in the microphone, I think the HyperX Cloud 3 is a better device, but it can't touch it as far as headphone audio quality. This thing gets crushed. And also the Cloud 3, wired only. So yeah, great device, not my #1 recommendation, but for $250, this is an excellent choice.